So I was having a colloquy with the artificial intelligence databases of planet Earth about the 500 million gallon sewage slopping up in the D.C. area there in the Potomac River. I guess the Potomac uh, is right there at D.C. 500 million gallons of COVID and SARS and Legionnaire's disease and typhoid and dysentery and E. coli. They keep talking about E. coli, but they don't tell you what the E. coli carries, how infected the E. coli is. That's a fascinating study by itself. It's just how viral, pathogen infected can E. coli get. You ought to take a look at the unbelievable massive amounts of sewage dumped all over the United States every year. Apparently dumping sewage all over the freaking place is a global practice by the biggest gangster banksters in the world. Biggest gangster banksters, and it's all run by the gooberment. The gooberment and their sewage systems. Dumping unfathomable amounts. One more time. Unfathomable amounts of vastly infected E. coli and turds and toilet paper and, Kotexes and tampons and spitum. A lot of spitum in sewage. People spit in the sink all the time when they brush their teeth and on and on and on and on and on. Like, gee golly whiz. One more time. Gee golly whiz. 500 million gallons in the Potomac. And it's just the tip of the iceberg. Go look at the St. Lawrence River and go look at the Hudson River. The Susquehanna River. The Connecticut River. The Ohio, the Flint, Mississippi, the Mississippi River. The Great Lakes, the Cape Fear River. And one thing I was reading this morning, they found a whole bunch of bats living in the sewers of Raleigh, North Carolina, being infected by the sewage. Lots of bats in Raleigh, North Carolina. And lots of other cities, too. There's all kind of bats and rats and mice and rats and moles and rats and bats. Every other kind of animal you can think of. Because when they dump 500 million gallons of sewage in the Potomac, everything downriver gets shit water. That's what they get. All the birds and the ducks and the geese and the raccoons and the deer and the coyote and the possums. And let's see, the ferrets and the feral cats and the stray dogs. They get fed huge amounts of shit and piss water full of infected E. coli. And this happens in every river in America, particularly all over North Carolina and Virginia and Maryland and so on and so forth, etc. And New York. Oh, God, New York. Right? The St. Lawrence River and Lake Erie and, oh, God. Holy smokes. Lake Ontario, Lake Superior. Geez, just goes on and on and on and on and on. Even Lake George. See, this is where I got studying this stuff when I was a kid. All those 6,000 septic tanks sitting on bedrock in the Lake George Basin. Kathy Hochul, that's accurate information, isn't it? David Wick with the Lake George Park Commission, Dave Wick, and the New York State Environmental Conservation Department. Yeah, buddy, 6,000 septic tanks sitting right on bedrock, draining and leaching into the springs and into the lake. And thus you got the up and down flushing of Lake George with Dam 230 into the poop chute, the poop chute river. Ticonderoga used it like a giant sewer, still do. And they flush it with damn A. Right, Dave Wick? Come on. I got in a big argument with the artificial intelligence databases about intentional flushing with Sinter, how they flush river systems of like the Potomac. 500 million gallons of sewage. They've got to flush it on down, with opening a dam up somewhere. Same with the St. Lawrence River, the Mohawk Dam, and I forget the name of that other a couple of great big huge dams along the St. Lawrence Seaway. They flush huge amounts of sewage down the St. Lawrence into the Gulf of St. Lawrence. Yup. Just like Dam A, Dam 230 at Ticonderoga on Lake George. Same thing, same exact thing. Because you see 6,000 septic tanks leaching down to the bedrock and then draining down to the lake. That's a lot of whiz and caca. Caca and whiz. And I find the funny part about how Donald Trump's blaming this politician and blaming the other politician. They're all blaming each other for it's not even really all that big. What happened in the Potomac, you ought to see what they do to the St. Lawrence River. Holy shit. You ought to see what they do to the Tijuana River. Oh, my God almighty. The Tijuana River. And then, of course, you got sewage being dumped all over the place in Florida. They had a great big, huge COVID pandemic in Florida. I mean, it was horrible. The COVID numbers in Florida were like, holy crap. And how many septic tanks are there in Florida dumping caca and wee-wee into the groundwater? There's your problem right there, man. It's all this sewage. And look what goes on in Wuhan, China. Yeah, the old rivers that run through Wuhan, China. They're full of sewage, like, oh, my God. And then the Cape Fear, oh, God, the Cape Fear. Running out of Walnut Creek there and all the other tributaries out of North Carolina down to Wilmington. Oh, right down there at Wilmington, they've got this giant sewage treatment plant down there on the river. And my God almighty, when you try to drive in there and talk to the administration of that sewer treatment plant, it'll gag you. It'll just flat out gag you. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, billions upon billions upon trillions of excrement, poo-poo and wee-wee, spreading infected E. coli all over the place. And the gangster banksters like King Charlie in England, oh God, those prime ministers of the parliament there in England, in London, England. You ought to see the sewage all over England. Holy shit, man. That's all I can say is holy shit. Now, folks, I'm going to leave it right there because it's starting to gag me about the 4th Judicial Circuit of the United States is drowning in sewage. The 4th Judicial Circuit of the, the appellate courts of the United States, Virginia and North Carolina, just swimming in it, literally. Yeah, well, I think the Potomac River is that the District of Criminals or the 4th Circuit? I think it's the 4th Circuit, but it could be the D.C. Court of, I think it might be the D.C. Court. Depends, Maryland, I think Maryland might be the 4th Circuit, and it's just drowning, swimming, and poo-poo and caca and infected viral E. coli with pathogens, just like in England. Hasta la vista, everybody. We will be back.